welcome to MVP and Leaders Magazine. We are delighted to have with us the head of both the Hotel Owners Association, Hotel and Restaurant Association of Indonesia, PHRI, and the Employers Association. So Hariyadi Sukamdani is a man with a lot of responsibility to lead the way through these important areas. But Hariyadi, welcome to this interview. Thank you very much for being with us. We're going to talk about sustainability for a few minutes, if you don't mind, because everyone is talking about building back better. And to me, building back better has to include sustainability. How do you see that scenario in your various roles? How are your members in the hotel industry and your members in the Employers Association building back better with sustainability attached?
Yeah, talking about the sustainability, it needs the commitment from whole countries, from the whole people to support this part. Because now, if we see talking about the sustainability, always business sectors have the blame, make it a problem there, maybe a problem here, creating the destroy the environment, etc., etc. So I think this is needs really commitment of the nations by people to do that. So of course, when we talk about that, then we the spirit is to build together. Cannot be okay. This is just you to build, just on your cost to build, but not us. Something like so. We should make it. This is as the one movement for all the people, for the nations. Yeah.
So is there enough emphasis on sustainability in the government's planning and licensing processes? If they started with the licensing, I mean, there is some environmental planning, but so far, Bappenas hasn't put in place actual limitations on investment without sustainability. So perhaps we should start there.
Yeah, I think if you're talking about the sustainability factors in the government planning and licensing process, I think for in our perspective, actually it's enough. Sometimes I think more excessive to put the regulation. For example, maybe you also following our debate on the FABA, fly ash, bottom ash, the residue of the coal, and for the power plant. If we see in other countries, even like in US and other like Israel, for example, they never put the FABA as the dangerous waste, because they recycle. So I think many countries in the world, they do recycle for the FABA as the construction materials. They do for the strengthening the road, for the concrete, something like that. But here, as I said, it's very excessive. And government said before the Undang-Undang Cipta Kerja, before the Omnibus Law legalized, it's categorized by the dangerous one, B3, bahan beracun berbahaya. So then when categorized as the B3, so the cost is become really expensive, Pak, to transport the waste to the tempat pembuangan akhir, ya. Then that's as I said, that sometimes it is very excessive. But now I think step by step the government seeing more clearly and to find the what you call to fine tuning with the real sectors to see about the sustainability issues in the right way, Pak.
Good. One of the things that we're all aware of in Jakarta particularly is the whole waste industry. We have Bantar Gebang supposed to be full in 2021. Well, it's 2021, but we still don't have a recycling industry in Jakarta for both domestic and office buildings, nor for industry. How can you get your members to get on board if the government hasn't got the infrastructure for waste collection in place? It's quite difficult, is it not?
Yeah. So I think this is the really more for the commitment for the governor, Pak. If talking about the community, the for the waste collection from the community, Pak. Yeah. So if the governor is really a strong commitment to make it this success, then I think there is no issue. Because why? Because we see actually this is really from our perspective, there is really not difficult actually. Like Jakarta, about 8,000 tons of waste from the household, and going out from the house. So I think if we do with the incinerator, whatever incinerator with the recycling integrated, it can do soon, Pak. But again, if I'm not wrong, there is a investor from Finland that have the commitment. Then I don't know. It's still not there to.
It hasn't been built
But
yet.
yeah,
Wait 3, 4 years. So
yeah, that's why it's a pity because this is become a very big issue when Bantar Gebang is full. But again, I think it's depend on how governor can do this, because if we look 4 years back when Pak Jokowi as the first governor of Jakarta, they start the MRT and now we can see the MRT Jakarta. So it's depend on, yeah.
you're still optimistic that we can solve this problem.
Yeah, it's depend on the governor.
And I agree with you. I mean, industry or wherever, or the hotel industry, everyone's ready to cooperate as far as I can see it. All we need is to get the systems in place.
Yeah, right.
So moving on very quickly to energy. Now the PLN has relaxed a lot of their rules. We actually have got encouragement to do solar and other energy sources. Are you encouraging your Apindo members to get on the renewable energy trail as well?
Yeah, talking about the renewable energy, I think this is still a big challenge, Pak. A big challenge since we still have the conventional energy like a coal, oil and gas is still here, is still there. So if you look like in our power plant grand strategy for 2000 until 2045, the consumption for the coal, it's still around, if I'm not wrong, it's still around 70%, to energize the power plant. Yeah, this is again, it's needs, if you're talking about the renewable energy, it's really needs a commitment also from the nations, because as you see, a government can be changed, but if there is still no commitment to build the renewable energy uh, across the government, I mean the existing government and the next government, I think it's difficult. For example, like now we already have the apa, some advance for the biodiesel. But again, if there is something what you call lack of the commitment later, yeah, maybe in the future government, then it will be also have the negative impact on this. So I think there is more important that we need a commitment, a nation commitment to really have the grand strategy for the renewable energy process part. And we know that renewable energy sometimes it's still costly. But again, when when we get the numbers, when we get the economic scale, it can be lower the price. And now Pak Luhut and his team now trying to set up for the uh, battery for the electric car. So I think this is a really a good idea. But again, if there is no long-term commitment when this government they are um, they are finish their job in 2024 and there is no commitment to continue for the next government, I think will be a stop now. That's why it needs long-term commitment if we are talking about the renewable energy.
Absolutely. I'm delighted to see, though, a lot of private sector have moved into solar energy for their factories. And so a lot of your members are actually implementing anyway.
Yeah.
It's not going to make a huge impact because that really does come down to the national power plants, but it's great to see that commitment on a private sector level. My last question is very, very simple one, but probably the most serious one for Jakarta, which is water.
Yep.
We've got flooding, we've got groundwater intrusion from the sea, we've got subsiding land. We've got a lot of problems through water. That's part of sustainability. Doesn't seem to have been taken very seriously so far. We haven't got the implementation of the seawall, which was supposed to take place years ago. It's affecting people's lives. I know this is not a private sector thing, but it's affecting the way in which industry and commerce perform. What can we do to try and challenge, face these seawater and groundwater and drinking water challenges, Hariyadi?
Talking about the water, yes, we have also a big challenge there. Since that the supply for the water for drinking water or the clean water, it's still not enough. That's the problem. That's problem. That's why still many of the commercial or the industry they still get from the groundwater. But so I think the problem with the clean water, if government can really do supply the clean water with the reasonable price, but I think we can manage better. But again, if there is no really the serious program, I think it will be always a trouble. For example, uh, like in now since the water law it's challenged to Mahkamah Konstitusi and from the Mahkamah Konstitusi it's declined the water law. Actually, for the water, it's already if I can say it's already clear for the how to manage the sources and also to facilitate the infrastructure part. But again, because in that after the amendment, after the revise of that law, all the water will handled by government. In that issue, okay, fine, good. If government can taking care can handle. But again, government has the limitation for the fund to build the infrastructure, and this is also making a problem, because um, if the private sectors wants to do this, then actually it's not easy because still in government has this power, so the calculation become more costly. So make it I think this is also make it I can say a backward, a backward to push for the supplying for the clean water. Then this is still we discuss with government how, because if the terminology is like that, then I think the private sectors will be not interesting to involve. But we have the problem with the not sufficient supply for the water.
So In a nutshell, Pak Hariyadi, you are, as industry, and of course in the tourism industry as well, you are very much tied to the government in the waste sector, in the energy sector, and in the water sector.
Yeah.
Quite a strong dependency. So you really need to work with them to
Mm.
make this happen, which is, as you say, is difficult because it is still mostly monopolized by the government.
Mm.
And we have seen improvements, so haven't we, Pat? So it's not as bad. We haven't had a disaster yet. And
Yeah.
you are so optimistic that we see things going forward.
Mm.
Presumably, you're not panicking yet. It's going to happen.
Yes, well, of course. So yeah, we have the many problems, and the most important to communicate, to make a better communication with the policymaker, and the very important it's to strengthen our argument. And through the very tough debate, most of our argumentation it's accepted by government.
So
Uh,
you feel that you have a voice and people
yeah,
are listening to you. That's
yeah,
very important. And you can tell your members, both on the tourism side and on the employer side, they
yeah,
are listening to us.
yeah, right.
That's
Yeah,
very good indeed. And I
yeah.
know that that's your job, is to represent those people.
Mm,
And so your position as the focal point for both of your memberships is
mm,
very important. Um, we are delighted to have had you with us today. We're going to say thank you at the moment because I know that your time is now very valuable in making sure that both the Employers Association and the Tourism Associations go forward and recover as quickly as possible. So on behalf of Now Jakarta, on behalf of Now Bali, MVP and Leaders Magazine, we'd like to thank Pak Hariyadi Sukamdani, who is heading up PHRI and Apindo. And thank you for the efforts for this country, Pak Hariyadi, and thank you for speaking to us today.
thank you, Alistair. So nice to talk with you.
It's very kind of you. Thank you very much indeed.